Feel a lot better than I have in the months past. I feel like I'm back to like the healthy Orion Cosce again that everyone got to see for the Contender Series.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Let's jump right into it, man. May 20th, UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. You're back in action. You're taking on Gilbert Urbina. Was this longer than you expected to return?
Yeah, a little bit. I was hoping to get back in there in February, but I got super sick during the holidays. So after that weight cut, even after the COVID shot that I got, I kept getting sick like 3 days out of the week, and I just had to find a way to recover. So I went to a couple different doctors. They're all, well, honestly, it's just your body reacting to the vaccine. It didn't take it well. And my wife, she was getting sick too. So I finally just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go see some doctors about it. And they said it was pretty much like trying to affect a little bit of my heart health because I already have that heart condition, the mitral valve prolapse, but I was always cleared to fight. And so they were saying like, yeah, for a lot of athletes and stuff like that, that vaccine was messing up people. Have you thought about doing just like an IV flush, like the Myers cocktail, where they just flush you full of vitamins and minerals and stuff like that? And I was like, sure, I'll try it out. Haven't been sick since. So it's been 3 months since I've had a bout with illness or anything like that, or what is it, 4 months now? Almost going on 4 months now, where I haven't been sick at all except for like one time, and that's because I ate like bad chicken when I was out to eat. So other than that, though, staying healthy, staying strong this time, and ready to go back out there. It's been too long.
How were you? How long were you out of action for, man? Getting that type of sickness, it's hard to like do anything, right? You just become extremely like unmotivated.
It wasn't necessarily that I was unmotivated. I definitely was getting a little depressed. But the motivation was always there, except for you're sick for 3 days in a row, and then I'm like, all right, cool, I feel better. I'm gonna go train, and I would train like 2 days in a row. Then my body would just shut down for another 2 3 days, and then I'd train for a day, and my body shut down for another 2 or 3 days, and so it was very disheartening. But I would have to say that I just kept pushing through, and then finally I just told myself, I was like, you know what, I need to just take a break. Like, take a break, let your body recover, stop being a dumbass, stop overdoing it. We've done this in the past, which led to the Phil Rowe fight. Like, I kept overdoing it, and we all saw what happened. Arm goes numb, and I take that loss like a man still to this day. But I started learning, as I got older, that I need to start doing those recovery days a lot better. So even going into the last fight, I added the recovery days, but being sick, going and cutting weight didn't help. But this time, just making sure I stay healthy, my recovery is on point, but not overdoing it with the recovery, and not going out and spending time with family and friends, and making sure, like, if we do go see somebody, hey, are you sick? And if they say no, but all right, cool. If they start coughing, I'm just like, all right, get away from me. But I'm excited for it. I feel a lot better than I have in the months past. I feel like I'm back to like the healthy Orion Cosce again that everyone got to see for the Contender Series. We got to see a very like ready to go fighter there. Even though I did miss the weight and I almost got pulled off the Dallas fight card against Blood Diamond. I went in there. I was able to go all 3 rounds, even not feeling great. But people are still able to see that part of me where I'm just going to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. So hopefully this time we see at least a 90 to a 95% Orion versus like a 70, 75, 80%. I just want to give you guys, the reporters, the fans, and just athletes in general, just somebody to look forward to and be like, man, that guy's fun to watch.
For sure, man. And let's rewind a little bit, man. The Contender Series fight, you blasted on the scene. Everybody was hyped, you know what I mean, on you. And then you go into your UFC debut, you lose that one. There's a lot of backstory to that. How did you handle the loss though? Like afterwards, you know what I mean? Did it hit you really hard? You know what I mean? Because I'm not saying like, you had excuses, but there was reasons why you perform a certain way. Like you said, health is so important heading into a fight.
Yeah, I remember after that first round, like, that was the first time I've ever asked after any fight, like, hey, give me that stool. I couldn't really breathe well, and it wasn't that I wasn't in shape. I felt in great shape. The weight cut went fine. Me and Phil Rowe, we cut weight together. Like, I wish about the best. Like, that guy's a pretty cool dude to talk to. The thing was, going into the second round, like, I felt my arm going numb again, and it was from stemming from that neck injury where I pinched multiple nerves in the brachial plexus region, and they wanted me to get surgery, and I was like, if I get surgery, I'm out for at least a year guaranteed. Versus try to go into it. But then I had another accident, at training the week beforehand during sparring, and that didn't help either. But I just told myself, I was like, you know what, we're gonna push through and see how it works, because there'd be times where it goes numb, but then it'd be times where it didn't go numb. I feel like just doing a lot of the heavy wrestling I did in that first round might have had a factor, being able to like push on the neck, especially with the four bulging disc at the time. But again, there's no excuses. I took that fight. It doesn't matter if I was injured or not. I took that fight. It's a learning experience. I know not to take any fights like on injuries. If it's a short notice one, if I'm dealing with an injury, just be willing to be like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make weight, or hey, I'm not feeling super healthy. I want to give you guys the best version of me possible. And I felt great going into the Phil Rowe fight, and I knew that there was always that possibility where my arm either A doesn't go numb like it did, and that's why I switched up my game plan a little bit in the second round versus like the heavy grappling. I said, fuck it, let's start swinging because I'm not feeling my arm anymore. And then with the Blood Diamond fight, my arm didn't go numb, and that's one of those things. Like, there happens every now and then where it's like, even if I'm lifting, I'll feel it like go numb a little bit. I'm like, yo, like, knock it the fuck off. Like, let's get this going. Like, we got to keep training. And then there's some days where I can go like maybe 2 hours of working out nonstop, and I feel fucking great. So yeah, I just want to be able to go in there. I know anything can happen at any time, but we're just going to go in there the best that we can to our knowledge, make that weight cut this time, and put on a great performance for everyone, like I said.
Yeah, after the debut, I mean, you're lined up to fight Blood Diamond a couple of times, and then that just got canceled and delayed, and you finally got to step in there, and getting that, I guess, the taste of the loss out of your mouth, and having fights delayed, was that tough to go through?
The delays always suck because you're training, and then the fight gets pushed back. You're like, damn, this is a really long training camp. And most people don't realize it takes a toll on you. So, like in most sports, like think about it, they're in seasons, right? Like the NFL is a season. Like they have you get ready. They have like the warm ups to get ready for the preseason. Then they have the preseason to get ready for the regular season. And if you make the playoffs, you've made it. Same with basketball, baseball, and a lot of sports. A lot of sports do that. They'll have like strength and conditioning periods like during season and then before the season. But one thing that they do really well is after the season, they make sure like their athletes are taking a break. They do their S and C on their own. They're making sure like they're doing their conditioning or their like their technique and fundamentals, basic fundamentals, and making sure like they're still getting in their work, but it's not as heavy as it is in their camp to get ready for the regular season, right? So as an athlete, what I decided was, instead of just trying to fight all the time or stay ready for just one specific fight for months on end, why not get ready for that fight? And, God bless, all things go well, just take another fight. We've seen it in the past. It's on my stats that I've taken 3 fights in the matter of 5 weeks. I've done that before, and I feel really healthy doing that. It's something I can do, and definitely something I want to do. I feel like that'd be exciting to fight 3 times in 5 weeks for the UFC. Many athletes do that stuff, and it's because we're all the top athletes at our weight classes respectively. It's the top of the echelon. Like only the 1% of the 1% make it to the UFC out of all MMA athletes. And so getting there is definitely like a huge respect on the person's name and stuff like that. So I would say just if I can stay active, I'm definitely going to try to stay active. I'd love, and I say it before in the past, and then something happens where I get super sick or I get injuries or, I get an opponent that backs out, vice versa. Things happen. But I would love to have it to where I can get like 3 or 4 fights before the end of July, stay active, and then maybe take like a month or two to like relax, get in the gym, once a day, make sure I'm staying healthy, keeping my diet on point, but being able to like be outdoors. I like being outdoors and stuff like that. Let my body recover. Versus, when we're in these fight camps, we're cutting weight as we're doing these fight camps, but then we're also like training 2 or 3 intense sessions every single day to stay ready. So I'm changing it up now to where I'm training always 2 or 3 sessions per day, no matter what it is. I'm always training 2 or 3 times per day. I'm making sure to get my saunas in. I'm making sure to hop in an ice bath, or if I have no like way to get to the lake or no ice bath, I'm taking a cold ass shower, and that's just for the recovery aspect. So I definitely, like I said, I'm staying healthy for you guys, I'm staying healthy for myself. That way, I can be a lot more active. When I was after that contender series fight, I wanted to be active, but then we had the injury happen right before the Nick Galby fight. Then we were blessed to get the Phil Rowe fight. Things didn't go my way like I wanted it to, but I definitely learned more from my losses than I do my wins. So what I'm doing right now is like every time I'm on the treadmill running, that's one of the fights I watch. That's one of the first fights I'll always put on. And people are like, well, why aren't you watching your opponent? I'm like, because there's no bigger opponent than myself. I'm my biggest opponent. I need to learn from why I lost. And we saw in the Phil Rowe fight, even with the arm going numb aside, one thing I lacked in that fight was I wasn't moving my head enough. So there's no excuse to why I shouldn't be moving my head more. With the Blood Diamond fight, he was landing some good shots, but what we noticed was I was rolling with the kicks. Like he landed two good high kicks, but I rolled with those kicks, and that's why I wasn't getting knocked out or stunned. Versus most people, they get hit by that and they're stunned, they're wobbly. So this time, I've learned a lot more with doing like just being like a white belt mentality, just doing basic boxing, basic kickboxing, basic wrestling, basic jiu-jitsu, and then just for MMA, I put all that together. But when I'm focusing just on pure fundamentals, I'm telling myself we're doing this for a reason, so we can get ready for our fight.
Training camp, is it still the same squad for you? Same places?
Yeah, for the most part, I haven't been able to go up home to Humble for this one, and then I wasn't really in much of a alpha male as much as I'd like to have been. But like I said, I went white belt mentality, and a lot of this one was focusing on my striking. We all know I'm a great wrestler. I have great wrestling. My jiu-jitsu is good. I can be on the top or the bottom. That's fine. I'm explosive enough to get out of the bottom positions, or if someone has me in a bad position, like they take my back, I know what to do. What I needed to do was focus on my striking heavily, and I feel like I've done that so well to where I'm able to complement that better with the kind of grappler I am. If I put somebody on the cage and they put, I can let them turn me and get me on the cage. We saw that with Blood Diamond. I let him turn me on the cage, but I'm wearing his arms out. He doesn't realize it, but I was wearing his arms out. Then I put him back on the cage, work a little bit, work a little bit. So his striking wasn't as effective. Um, and I know like if somebody's gonna have better striking than me, the game plan is use my striking to set up my grappling, whether it be on the ground or against the cage. It's 4 dimensional. We're not doing 3 dimensional. We're doing 4 dimensional. We have everything going. So I just got to stay ready for everything. But you're gonna see a lot better of a striker this time around than you have seen in the past out of Orion Cosce for sure.
Who are you working your striking with?
My striking coach, Ezra Regan. So his brother was a boxer back in the day and fought on some very big boxing shows back then, back in like the 90s, early 2000s. But Ezra Regan's been a part of the kickboxing Muay Thai community for over the last 30 years. So he went over to Thailand for months on end, multiple times. He's been training guys all the time. And so instead of just doing one sparring per week, I do two sparrings where I'm doing like one day of MMA sparring. And then after that, I do like mitts later on. Or I'll do, kickboxing sparring a day or two later. And I only focus on just getting inside. If the guy has a longer reach, I work on the inside, or I allow them to make the mistake of I'll strike and I'll pull. That way they overextend. I know they're the longer striker, they're the taller striker, and I've been working with a lot of those guys so I can get better because, like I said, I wanted to learn from why I lost to Phil Rowe, and he's the taller, longer fighter, and I had to make sure that never happens again.
Gilbert Urbina, man. What do you think of him, man? He was on the Ultimate Fighter, lost the title fight for that season. What do you think of his skill set?
Yeah, and we've seen his two losses. His loss to Trayshawn Gore, he wasn't looking bad. He did good in the first round. We saw that. And again, he's the longer fighter. He was the taller fighter than Trayshawn Gore, I believe. And he just got caught in the second round. That's all it was. He just got caught by the power. And then we saw it with Brian Battle. He replaced Trayshawn Gore, even though Trayshawn Gore, finished him in the second round a week or two prior to that or something like that. He got to be a short notice replacement. And with Brian Battle, he almost, he had him hurt in the first round. He was on the verge of trying to get him finished. But I think one thing Urbina does well is he comes out super explosive. But the one negative drawback to that is, and we saw it like with my brother Lewis, a quick finish and the opportunity to get that finish. But, you know, if the fight doesn't get stopped right then and there, anything can happen. Do your shoulders blow out? Do you just get winded? Was there a factor with the weight cut? So I feel like he's going to come out in either one of two options. Either A, he'll come out super aggressive like he always does, which I'm going to respect. Or B, is he going to try to draw me into staying on the outside so he can throw those leg kicks? He likes to throw straight down the line. He does a really good job with throwing straight down the line to make you start moving your head so he can throw those looping shots. And he does a really good job at that. So I'm just ready for that striking aspect. And I know he likes to throw once he's in the pocket. He only throws a few combinations and with his elbows to set up his takedowns. He definitely likes to use his striking up close to set up takedowns versus he has a bad habit of if he's being pushed back. That's what I've noticed is I'm a pressure fighter. I like to push forward. So if he's gonna, like Brian Battle did or Trayshawn Gore, after those first rounds, they started pushing him back, and we saw what happened. He doesn't do too well of being pushed. So if he wants to be the counter fighter, I feel like that's going to work against him. If he tries to bull rush in, I'm a great wrestler and a great grappler as well. We can go both ways. So his best game plan, I believe, is going to be like, hey, look at Orion. He has a hard time with these longer guys. But as the fight wears on, I also pick it up in the intensity as well. So I definitely respect everything like for this fight.
For sure, and he's been out for like almost 2 years, man. Time flies, man. And for yourself, what's been the longest period of not fighting for you and then returning back?
My last amateur fight to my first professional fight, it took like 2 or 2.5 years. I think it was like 2.5, almost 3 years. I didn't have a fight. Just I couldn't find a fight. I didn't want to fight as an amateur anymore. And I was like, dude, like just get me a pro fight. And I had no manager at the time, but I was like asking all these different organizations, oh yeah, we can get you at 170. And I was like, cool, I'll do a catch weight 175, 180. I'll fight at 185. But there was always something where like the person got injured or they had to pull out because they had like a call up to a better like opportunity. So I can't be mad about that. But I was like, fuck, like why is this happening to me? Like, why can I not get a fight? And then, the one time I was supposed to have a fight during that period, I ended up damaging my knee pretty bad. And I was like, damn, like, this sucks. Like, what do I do? And then I just ended up getting good recovery after a couple of months. And then we got back into, and I was trying to stay in shape the best I could, even with the knee injury. But the knee healed. It was good. We got the strength and conditioning on point. The MMA was back on point, and I was just better than ever. But it just took a while before I finally had my very first pro, debut over in Wisconsin.
Did you feel any ring rust when you returned?
No, I was happy. I was happy.
Yeah.
It's a little different fighting at the Apex. I kind of just because it's like a small crowd. Um, it's kind of cool though. It's like a backyard stool fight. It's like, yo, the whole class is gonna be out back, like so it's cool in that aspect. I definitely like fighting in front of the crowd. It's way more fun. The enthusiasm there, and I'm just used to it. I'm used to fighting in front of crowds. I've always enjoyed that. So I definitely, after this one, hopefully I can like get the fast finish, and if not, be ready to go all 3 rounds. I just want to be able to get my hand raised no matter how it goes, and I'm training hard for that. But I just definitely would like to be on another big card, no matter where it is, even if it's a fight night. Just in front of a crowd would be great. So.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And are you expecting like to be engaging real quick in this one? Do you feel like it's going to be a fast start between you guys, or do you feel it's going to take a while to kind of feel each other out? How do you see this fight? How do you see yourself performing in this one?
I feel like I'm going to perform strong. Anything can happen in a fight. I mean, I can go out there and knock him out within the first 10, 20 seconds. But same can also happen to me. He can come out and maybe catch me with a mean right cross I didn't see and drop me on my ass, right? And then finish me before I can get back up. So the whole entire fight game, I like I said earlier too, I'm always visualizing everything. I'm visualizing me going out there. And if he wants to be aggressive in the pocket, we all know I can fight in the fucking pocket. I love being in the pocket with people. I got average arms for my height. I got a 71-inch reach. I'm only 5'11", and I'm getting these guys with long ass orangutan arms. Like they're able to they just reach out, they're able to touch. So I got to get inside. So I feel like it'll work to my advantage if he wants to press forward. But even if he wants to stay on the distance, I've worked with plenty of counter strikers, and I'm working with a lot of guys who are tall like him or even taller than him, with either the same reach or longer reach, and working on head movement, get inside, grapple, get the takedown, or grapple, push to the cage, where, get some combinations, get back on, combinations, get back on. So I'm going to be ready for all aspects and all visualizations. When I run, that's all I think about is like, if this fight does this, how could it play out this way? Or if he hits me at this, what am I going to do this? Like, I'm just nonstop, and there'll be times where I'm like so into it, I'll like trip on the treadmill a little bit. I'm like, oh shit, and then I'll like go back to run. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I got to remember, I'm still running on the treadmill.
Yeah, man. May 20th, man. UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. Everybody, go follow Orion on social media. Thank you so much, man, for the time and all the best in this fight. I'm excited to see you back and healthy, man, because the last two
Yeah,
fights you weren't healthy, but this one, it seems like, you're there.
A lot stronger than I have been in the past. And then the craziest part too was when I took time off after being sick. Like I told you, after the Blood Diamond fight, I was sick afterwards too. I just allowed myself to fully recover. All my numbers on the strength and the conditioning aspects, they all improved. Everything improved, and that's just because I finally said, "Hey, let your body recover.